Exciting day around here for me. It's not only the first day of practice, which seems strange that we're saying that in September, but with our new facility getting within weeks of being finished, and 90% of ours is finished, and with a good basketball team, it's a pretty exciting time. So I'm thrilled with it. I'm ready to go. We're 99% healthy, and looking forward to some big things.
Tom spent a lot of time this summer with your players, and Jaron said something to me that I'd never heard a player say, even Miles. He said he appreciated the opportunity to play for you. And I asked him about, what went into his decision. He said, at the end of the day, I wanted to be able to say I played for one of the greatest coaches of all time. To hear young stars like him where it's not about him is pretty special, is it not?
Well, I think I've been blessed with a lot of things. In the last 5-6 years, we've had some incredible kids, from the Draymonds to the Valentines to, right on down the road here. But there's no question that when Miles is here, he's a superstar without an ego. And, Jaron's a little more talkative than Miles. I mean, Miles is the quiet, shy guy, and Jaron's the effervescent guy that exudes confidence, and yet I think they both kind of rub off each other. And what we have gotten back to a little bit more is the culture. And when a kid says something like that, number one, that's great respect for me, I guess, and our program. But I think he's bought into some of the culture too, because those other guys are selling the right stuff. And when that happens, that's exciting. It's exciting for me. I can't complain. I mean, we've always got our problems. You're always going to have one here or one there. But for the most part, this group has been incredible, and some of them for 2-3 years now.
There's always obviously expectations here, but with this group again, another group with high expectations. How have you seen them handle that in the off season, and does it get them a little more fired up as practice really starts at this point?
I'm hoping so. I've been on the road quite a bit now, and I haven't been around them quite as much. I mean, I get my point in time with them, but I think what's cool is you really look for some signs. A guy's going to work harder, or they think they arrived. What are the dreams and goals? Are they really big for themselves and for the team, or are they just we've accomplished something, we're picked in the top 5 or whatever it may be. The other thing you look for is when a guy doesn't go pro that could go pro, is he going to bounce back now? Or is he going to kind of figure out, I don't have to go to class, I don't have to do this, who cares about the academics, I'm already arrived, I could already have gone, so just got to maintain what I got. And Miles is about as far from that as there is in a person, He had an incredible summer academically. He's off to a good start now. Why does that matter? It just kind of tells you something about him. And so I think that nobody's resting on their laurels. I think a lot of guys had great summers. We'll see now as it gets turned up a little bit, and basketball season starts to come, more exposure for them, more interest for them. How do they handle that? I guess I won't know till I find out, but I like our chances of handling it well. They just seem to be a group that is more driven on what they want to accomplish personally and with the team than they are about what people think of them or what people say about them.
Tom, is there something you're hoping to find out about your team between now and when the season starts?
Yeah, I'm really am. I'm hoping to see if we can guard somebody. I'd like to see if we can do that. I'd like to see if we can handle distractions, because there'll be some positive and some negative distractions. I want to see if we can handle that. I want to see if we can not turn the ball over. Those are kind of our 3 issues that we're really looking at. There's a million others, but if you can handle distractions, it's going to be very important, especially when you are highly ranked and you have some pretty good players that could lead to a lot of distractions one way or another. If you can defend well and then rebound well, you're going to have a chance to win the big games. Winning small games will, you could cheat yourself through and get away with it, but it isn't going to win you the big games. And turnovers, we see it in football. I was at the Bears game last night, with the Packers, and a couple turnovers early, and all of a sudden it's 14 or 21 to nothing, it's that way in basketball, and there's, usually more turnovers in basketball. So it's something that I don't think I've done a very good job here as a coach over the years. I think we've turned the ball over a little more than most, and I was semi-hide behind that we're a running team. But if truth be told, and some of you dug in, we aren't turning the ball over on the break as much as we are on the half court. So those are going to be the 3 or 4 points of emphasis. With the distractions, always has been one of my favorite. It still is, and with more expectations and more people interested in what they do, that means more people are interested around campus. So the distractions will still be first on my list.
You'd rather have a year like this, though, than a year where you don't have a shot, right?
Oh yeah, I've been a couple years where we were, unranked or ranked real low, and expectations are low. That's no fun, because our program's to the point where we should, and our fans should expect that we're going to be knocking on the door to do some important things. And this year, I couldn't even hide behind that, and I haven't hid behind that. I know what kind of team we have. Now we have to stay healthy. We have to stay kind of distractionless within reason. There's always going to be some, but we do those two things. And I think the other job that I have this year in my staff is, let's face it, we've got some players, we've got some very good players, but we've got some depth, and how we put that together will be very, very important. Making sure we have the right lineups in there together, making sure that we have guys that can play together, and I think maybe the most important thing, who's going to be great at coming off the bench? Because, I've had some great teams with stars coming off the bench, and I've had, some other teams that we had no depth, like last year, and we had problems. So those will be the issues. But yeah, I'm excited to get the opportunity. It's a privilege, or as Tom says, we don't got to do this, we get to do this. And that's been the line of our team all summer, Quit looking at it like it's a chore. We don't have to do this, we get to do this. And it's a privilege. It's a privilege to coach these guys, at least until we start the real full practice 20 minutes from now, and then it's dog eat dog, man. We got to get after it and get ready.
Ben told me last month that he was going to be 100% by Midnight Madness. You just said 99%. Is he a little bit ahead of schedule?
Ben is coming pretty good. Even today now they say no contact, but he can get a little bit more involved in just about every bit of practice except, maybe the scrimmage work, and Kyle Arns is, had the little foot, and he's maybe a week or two away from being, but yeah, other than that, man, and I feel like we're as healthy as we've been, and Ben has been, he's a good player. He would have helped us last year, so been very impressed, when you see our team, which most of you have, we actually look like a basketball team instead of a soccer team like last year. And that's no insult to soccer, just a little different sized people. And we've got some size, we've got some depth, and right now we have a pretty good, healthy team.
Where's Gavin at right now physically, and then also with him and Ben? Those are two guys you got to try and work into that rotation.
Right.
Those are the two guys you're talking about more.
Those are two of more than 3 or 4. Like I said, our lineup is going to be. The nice thing is, I got a feeling there's going to be some incredibly competitive practice like the old days, and different former players that have come back. That's what excites them the most. David Thomas, that's what excites him the most, because he remembers some of the practices when we're not only everybody competing for a job, but we had size, we had strength, we had all those things. So, what did you really hit on when you said Ben and
Gavin, just trying to work.
Gavin, yeah, you asked what Gavin is. Gavin is 99.99%. He's been doing everything full. He's been scrimmaging. He's been playing the war game. The only thing we have to do with Gavin now is make sure that he doesn't, as he gets tired, as you have 2.5-hour practices, maybe at the beginning, and we might be pulling him for a few things just from the conditioning. But we just had our big test this past, I think it was last Thursday or Friday, and And boy, everybody tested out real good, and Gavin was real good, so that's encouraging.
Tom, with what's going on with the federal probe into college basketball, just your reaction in general, and can it be a good thing long-term for college basketball? I mean, can the feds clean up this game?
Well, disappointment would be the first word I'd use. I'm disappointed, because I don't know if anything's any good when when it casts kind of gives you a black eye for your profession, whether it be yours or mine. I'm not sure that I would ever hope that something that negative has to be done to clean it up. But to be honest with you guys, I've been on the road. I know very little more than you guys know. This is a new frontier. I've never seen really in a long time. I wasn't around with the gambling of many years ago when the federal government gets involved in something. But it's just disappointing from what I've read and what I've heard. But right now I'm going to just focus in on our team. I'm going to focus in on what we can do today in practice. I'm going to focus in on that football game tomorrow and see where it takes us. I hopefully, when I do know more, I will answer the questions as honestly as I can answer them. But right now, there's so many things that have been thrown around, and some think a lot more are yet to come, some don't. It's sad would be the best word for me right now.
When you look at Judd's passing, I was thinking about where the program was when he left, and now tens of millions into new facilities. Are you able to appreciate, or are you so in the moment, how far the program's come from when Judd handed you the baton?
I went to his funeral, of course, on Saturday, and I went out there, and there were some guys there. Steve Smith came in, and we were talking about those days. I've talked to Gus Kanakis about the real early days, and I've gotten a chance to be part of the journey and part of the process of building this thing. And there's still a lot of basement that Judd Heathcote has in this place. I mean, the structure, the foundation has to be strong to hold the building, right? And right now, that structure and foundation has been strong, and hopefully, we're starting to put the rest of the house together. Not finished yet, but we built it the way we want it. Now it's adding all the things that make a house a home, and that means we keep increasing the facilities and doing a better job. But a house is never a home until pictures are hung. My pictures are banners. If banners are hung, then the house becomes a home. So that's what we're still working on.
I'll kind of go back to what Larry asked about a little bit. You're on the Guardians of the Game committee. I mean, do you guys, have you met yet on that, and have you talked, or what message would you give other coaches?
We haven't met on it. I just came back from my meetings a week before this all broke, and I don't think anybody knew or saw this coming. But I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll have conference calls. I don't think anybody's got their arms around it yet, or the depth of it or what actually is going on. So it's hard to do anything and accuse of anybody of anything until you really know exactly what's going on. Now, some of these things that they print and write that are already etched in stone, those things aren't good. And why they're happening, I've got my own reasons on some things that have happened, and some things that they're just getting more and more out of control. So as Larry said, if this reels us back and makes us relook at some things and figure out what our summers are like and how we can get things better for both the players and the coaches and everybody else, then there's a benefit for us. I wouldn't say it's great because of the negativeness of it, but we all learn from something that hits home, and this has hit home. And when we have those discussions and when I get my arms around it, we can have a press conference that's geared more to that, and I would be more than happy to answer.